intimate divine-human interdependence or relation, and thereby the triadic structure of reality. Now, the distinctive and unconventional meaning of secularism or secularity is manifest in a number of Panikkar's early writing, which I believe remain quite important in the present context, especially if you want to situate it versus or vis-a-vis Taylor. Thus his book called Worship and Secular Man, Worship and the Secular Man, 1973, he puts forward this very provocative thesis. This is Panikkar, very provocative style. Only worship can prevent secularization from becoming inhuman. And only secularization can save worship from becoming meaningless. It's a very provocative thesis. Only worship can prevent secularization from becoming inhuman, and only secularization can save worship from being meaningless. So, from this perspective, the idea of a secular age focused on immanentization is impossible, cannot be conceived. To which Panikkar added this equally stark and common. Now, what is emerging in our days and what may be a haphazard phenomenon, that a one-time phenomenon, a unique occurrence in the history of humankind, is paradoxically not secularism, but the sacred quality of secularism. That's a totally different conception. You see, I mean, I wanted to bring out that contrast. The sacred quality of secularity. Different conception. Now, Panikkar has never abandoned, as far as I see it, this provocative thesis. It still pervades powerfully his later writings, especially the rhythm of being. As he notes in the preface to that book, the original title of his lectures, the Gifford Lectures, in 1989, was The Dwelling of the Divine in the Contemporary World. He had chosen that as the original title of his book, of his lectures, The Dwelling of the Divine in the Contemporary World. A phrase surely not far removed from the notion of a sacred secularity. Although for various reasons the original title was changed, the leading thread of this book continues to be the same. What characterizes this leading thread in the book, despite contextual revisions, is the idea of a radical relationality or relativity involving the three basic dimensions of reality, namely cosmos or nature, human beings, and God, the divine, where each of these dimensions is seen not as a static essence, but as an active and dynamic participant in the ongoing transformation of reality or being. As Panikkar states in his study, in his book, what he intends to convey in the wisdom of being, what he intends to convey is a new sense of creatio continua, in which each one of us, in St. Bonaventure's phrase, is a co-creator. St. Bonaventure said, co-creator. A crucial feature of the intended relationship is the close linkage between the temporal and the eternal. So also this binary, this opposition between the temporal and the eternal is undermined in Panikkar. Between the temporal and eternal, or as he says, between time and being. Dualism between time and being. Now, anybody who has ears will immediately notice the Heideggerian reference, being in time. It's behind that. Time, he says, is not an accident to life or to being. Each existence is tempeternal. That means it is temporal and eternal. And with this observation, we have already reached our topic of the rhythm of being, which is ever old and ever new. Instead of being bogged down in irremediable dichotomies or binaries, this rhythm of being proceeds in the modality of mediation, as he says, utrum, both as well as, and thus ultimately what is called Advaita language. Now, I refer here in the study to Advaita, frequently in my paper. Advaita is one of the great teachings of Indian philosophy, There are several schools of philosophy. But much of Indian philosophy for 500 or 600 years has revolved precisely around the question of what is the relationship between the world and God, or between humans and God. Is it a dualism? Is it an opposition? Or is it unity?